This Chad quit his job to date 50 women from every U.S. state. And honestly, I'm just saying Chad because I thought that would be kind of funny. But also, there is a little bit of truth in that statement because, one, he actually did date 50 women from every U.S. state. But you have to keep in mind that the average male barely ends up going on a date with anyone, barely succeeds in even getting a first date with anyone, barely has the balls to even say hi to another human being, let alone a female, right? It's gotten pretty bad for a lot of guys out there. So to see something like this is kind of funny to see, but let's get into it. So this is a new spin on 50 First Dates. Matthew Wernig downloaded Tinder during the pandemic lockdown to keep himself entertained. The 25-year-old had only ever been on 5 dates in his life before making a profile, but he certainly made up for lost time. The Huntley, Montana resident is now a cross country Casanova and has gone on a first date with a different girl in each of the 50 states, quitting his job and documenting it for his 547,700 TikTok followers. Now, the thing is, I don't know how much money he's making from his, I guess, following, but it's got to be at least something, I hope, right? The only thing that really scares me about something like this is that is there any sort of like longevity in basically doing this sort of thing, right? Like maybe he could create like a dating show. Maybe he could create, I don't know, like a dating vlog thing. I don't know, right? Maybe he could sell products to like basically teach like other guys or whatever how to build up confidence to end up going on first dates like this. Because like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of guys out there that one have never even been on a date, let alone even have the guts to even say hi to another person, right? Like it's honestly a little bit depressing seeing some dudes out there, right? So maybe that's something that he could do to like make this more of like a long-term business, longevity speaking. But I don't really like people quitting without really having income that is at least making what you were making at your job, right? Really, the ideal situation would be like this. Let's say that you're making like $50,000 after taxes from your day job. You want your other thing, your side hustle, your business, or whatever, to literally match that income or more after taxes before you switch full time to go do that one thing other than your job, right? So that you have that safety blanket to be like, oh, I'm not going to completely financially destroy myself and end up homeless, you know? So since lockdown restrictions were lifted, Wernick has gone on a hot air balloon ride with a brunette babe in New Mexico and flown a plane with a cute blonde in Minnesota. Before the pandemic, I had only ever been on 5 dates. Now I have been on 100, and I still don't understand women, the content creator admitted to Newsweek. The thing is, I don't think you probably ever will, because I don't think they even understand themselves. In need of a distraction during lockdowns, Wernick turned to Zoom dates, as so many across the road did. The reason I downloaded Tinder was boredom. There was a lot of negativity in the news, so I wanted to do something uplifting to keep myself entertained. I then had a light bulb moment when I realized you can change the location settings, and I began virtually dating women from LA, New York, and Dallas. Wernick began with virtual dates during COVID, but then made it his mission to meet all of his Zoom dates in person once lockdown restrictions were lifted. In January 2021, he started his journey for love, driving all across the country before flying to Alaska and Hawaii. I will admit, I don't have a 100% success rate. I have been left unread a few times, he said. After his national dating tour of the US was completed in June 2021, Wernick found that he needed more than a first date to connect with someone. He had so much fun that he decided to go back out on the road again in February 2022. The young man quit his job and turned his dating life into his full time gig, making 2 seasons of 50 dates, 50 states, and documenting his journey for his 547,700 TikTok followers. Now, here's the thing, right? Like, how much money could you possibly be making to make this literally your full time job to do this? And not only that, wouldn't it get like a little bit depressing if, like, let's say that you were to actually find like a serious partner? Wouldn't your business kind of be basically done? You know? But despite ramping up his dating life by going on over 100 dates, Wernog, Wernig does not consider himself a pro. He just hopes the women leave with a smile, whether he's the one for them or not. Some dates I may connect with more than others, but I have developed a mindset of a mission to accomplish, he shared. He has certainly accomplished a lot. The most memorable dates Wernick has gone on range from hunting for frogs in Arkansas, ziplining through the New Hampshire mountains, and riding in an airboat in the Louisiana swamps. And J.C. Miller, 23, from Rapid City, South Dakota, went to an adventure park ropes course. It was a memorable experience that allowed me to step outside my comfort zone, all while doing it with an incredible guy, she told Newsweek. Wernick works to make sure each date is unique. We always have a lot of fun, he said. I've been on hiking dates in national parks, laser tag, bike rides, and a handful of sports games. I make sure that I always treat my dates and pick up the check. I was raised to believe that that man should pay for the first date, the Midwestern gentleman said. It's polite if the woman offers to split it, but I would never accept it. Interesting. I mean, feel free to give your thoughts on this. I thought this was like an interesting kind of like article for a lot of different reasons, right? It was interesting because the guy had the guts to literally step out of his comfort zone and basically try to get dates with people that he had no clue who they were, had no idea who they were, and went out there, put himself out there, was willing to get rejected multiple times to find a decent amount of ladies willing to date him virtually to then date him in real life. But also, it's interesting that he was somehow able to find a way to literally monetize himself dating ladies. Like, it's such a unique concept because this isn't really like a bachelor or bachelorette thing. This is like, oh, this guy's like dating like 100 plus women, going on first dates with them, having really crazy experience with probably every single one of them. Basically, like a very unique experience with every single one of them. Gets paid for it through social media, sponsorships, probably, and all that. To make it his job to literally date women. Like, what an odd job to have. To go and date women that you have no clue who they are. Right? I just find it interesting. Like, I mean, this is a very interesting side hustle, which turned into not even a side hustle, but basically his full time career. Like, this is literally his full time career. But again, I really worry about someone in this situation is like, unless you're making like crazy amounts of money, you need to be really smart with your money. Not only that, even if you were making crazy amounts of money, you still got to be smart with your money. Now, I don't think he's being stupid with his money, and he's obviously using some of the money to actually pay for the dates for these girls. But let's say that he's making 100,000 a year from this, right? He really needs to create a pretty hefty emergency fund because who knows when this thing's going to end? Potentially next week, next month, you don't know, right? Put some money into retirement as soon as you can as well, but also save a lot of money for potentially starting another business if you have to. Because again, the thing that I'm really worried about is like this could literally stop at like any given point, right? He might end up getting forced to working like a 9 to 5 job because he just can't maybe transition his followers into following different content. So I'm just a little bit worried about that. I wish the guy the best, but dear lord, making that your full time job, that's interesting.